Yes, guys, welcome back to the morning after the night before. Arsenal 3 versus Chelsea 1. We've barely got that result off the top of our heads. What an absolute shock fest from first minute to last. Like, a fair play. A lot of Chelsea fans saw this result coming. But the thing is, it just didn't make sense on paper in the form table, player to player. Any way you try and look at this match, if you try and justify both teams, it looks obvious that it should be a Chelsea win. And the one thing I will say is, I think Arsenal were better than us. I don't think they were amazing, though, and I think a great reason for it was because of how poorly we played. But we're here to delve into the Arsenal-Chelsea game. We're also going to take a look at the Chelsea-Aston Villa match before we wrap up the end of this stream. But I've got Lawrence with me. Lawrence, first off, Merry Christmas, even though it's probably the worst possible time right now. But how's the last few days been for you, bro?
Well, the last few days were good. Yesterday was a bit of a nightmare, I won't lie. Like, honestly, if the games are going to go like this, like, you know, football should be illegal on bloody Christmas because it bloody ruined my day, honestly. And literally. I mean, I agree with what you said in the intro. Like, we were just awful. I mean, Arsenal weren't bad. Like, they were pretty good. But that's just Arsenal. Like, as much as, you know, Arsenal fans take the piss out of us, I'm like, how can you even, like, still banter back after that loss? I'm like, mate, Arsenal are literally just the new West Ham. That's all they are. Because they turn up once a season against bloody Chelsea. Against everyone else, they're awful. Like, and that's all they do these days. Like, how many years has it been that Arsenal play awful most of the year and then they turn up against us? It's just like West Ham.
This one is absolutely jarring. And my mate was saying it earlier. This means that we haven't beaten Mikel Arteta in the whole of 2020. That is a bad stat. And also, things are starting to switch on Frank Lampard. We're going to speak deeper into Frank Lampard in your video. That will be coming out the next hour. So we're jumping straight onto a live on Lawrence's channel as soon as we're done with this. So check that one out as well. Also, check out Lawrence's channel. The link to his channel is literally in the title. Press the @ and his name will send you straight there. So press that and hit the like and subscribe button while you're there as well. But let's talk about Lampard for a little bit because pressure is definitely building on him. This is his third away loss in a row now, and questions are coming up about the system again. And Frank Lampard has been a guy that's answered questions throughout the season. We had issues with the original 4-2-3-1 system, and he changed it up to a 4-3-3. Now, do you think it's a case where it's just been poor form from the players or us suffering through the Christmas period, or do you think it's a system failure, or do you think it's something that we're going to need to look at trying to change again?
It's a difficult one because if you I think that 4-3-3 is the best system for the players we have. I also think that Kai Havertz is best suited to playing as an 8 rather than just as a 10. Because well, not so much that he's better as an 8, but I feel like it doesn't make much of a difference for him. And other players are just much better in that other system compared to playing with, say, I don't know, whoever as a second DM. I just don't really see the point in it, to be honest. And I don't think it makes much of a difference for Kai Havertz. Especially, think about it. We play so offensive pretty much every game against almost every opponent. So playing a 4-3-3 with 2 8s kind of just means we have 2 10s because we play so attacking. All it does for Kai Havertz is that he plays a bit more drifted to the right. But that's what he does naturally anyway, even if he plays as a sole number 10.
Yeah, but don't you feel like we've been more pragmatic in recent weeks? I get where you're coming from, but I feel like that was a mentality that we had more in November or something like that. I think December we've been a bit more calmer in our play.
Okay, yeah, I agree, but I don't think that's a system issue. I think that's a player/plan ahead of games issue because it's not the system that's stopping us from being more aggressive. I don't think. And also, I think the 4-3-3 is better to press, but then you could make the very fair argument we barely have pressed in recent times. Which, like I said, is a fair point, but that's the issue. Like, I have more issues with that. I have more of an issue with the fact that the only thing we do is cross the ball. I think we need to fix those things before thinking about because if we keep crossing the ball, it doesn't matter what system we play, it's going to be one-dimensional. It's going to be easy to predict. It's going to be easy to, just stop. It doesn't matter what system you use. If you just cross the ball, it's not going to change nothing. And that's the same with saying, Werner needs to play up top. Well, if we just keep crossing the ball, how useless would that be?
I said exactly that. Werner up front doesn't work right now in our system because he's just going to be as ineffective as Tammy is up front right now.
Yeah, but you say that. Tammy has scored 3 goals in the last 2 games. Do you know what I mean? Like, people take
I get that, but I think there were still 2 bad performances. Like that what's his
I
name?
disagree.
The West Ham game, I'll be real. I didn't think he was that great for long periods. I thought he was a good focal point, someone to get the ball to off a long ball. But after that, he struggled for long periods. He got 2 goals at the end. Fair play. I didn't think he had a good performance. And the Arsenal game as well. It was just the guy in the air. I love him, but he should be so much better for someone of his build.
Yeah, that is true. He should be better in the air, but I disagree that he was poor against West Ham. I didn't even think it was all that bad against Arsenal, because to me, what he offers is something that Giroud just doesn't offer, because he makes runs that allow Werner to actually come in the middle, which is why Werner had all of these chances against West Ham. If Giroud played in the middle, Timo Werner probably wouldn't have had a single chance, because think of the games against Wolves and against Everton when Giroud played up top. Werner didn't have a single chance in either of those games, because then he has to play like a proper winger. If Tammy's there, because he can move, Werner can come like an inside winger, like a wide forward, if you will. So that is the big part. And I think I'm just really impressed by Tammy, how much he's improved his hold-up play, to be honest. I think, I'm not saying he's the greatest player of all, don't get me wrong, but he scored a goal more than Didier Drogba has in his first 50 Premier League appearances. He's 4 years younger than Didier Drogba was at the time. So I feel like give the guy a little bit of credit. I'm not saying he's the the savior of everything. He's gonna fix all of our issues. That's not at all where I'm trying to get that. But I feel like if we compare him to other players and how poor they've been, I feel like we shouldn't focus on criticizing Tammy Abraham.
I will agree. Tammy definitely shouldn't be scapegoated. I do think he has improved levels above last season. Part of that has definitely been learning off Olivier Giroud. He has become a much better target man. That fully facts I can agree with. But I still think himself on the ball, there is still a long way to go in terms of his improvement.
Yeah,
maybe West Ham game, I probably need to look deeper into that. But from what I saw, I just didn't see enough of him. The way that we played yesterday, though, the only players that can come away with any sort of saving credit is, in my opinion, Christian Pulisic, Hudson-Odoi coming off the bench. You can say maybe the centre-backs weren't too much to blame. I blame more the midfield and the full-backs, but the full-backs as well shouldn't have even started this game. We knew that both players were not fit going into this match. And Reece James, I'll say he got exposed, but he got exposed for being injured. They overload that right-hand side. We know they like to overload the right-hand side. They did the exact same thing in the FA Cup final, and we played an injured right-back there. I don't know what we were trying to do with that.
Yeah, honestly, I agree with this. I mean, I would say Pulisic and Zuma, of the guys that started, I think can keep their head held high after it, plus Hudson-Odoi, obviously. Because I think Thiago Silva wasn't awful, but still made 2 or 3 mistakes that really should, or at least could have led to Arsenal goals. And we were kind of fortunate that they didn't. So I don't think, Zuma didn't make mistakes. Thiago Silva made a couple. And yeah, the fullback situation, I totally get why Frank did it. But then again, we were all happy about it when we saw the lineup. But obviously, we're happy because we assume if they start, they're actually fit to start, right? But when we saw the game, you could clearly see they're not. I mean, Chilwell, you could see that he was scared to get his right foot into anything, because Lampard even said he was playing with the swelling and a bit of pain. And Reece, I don't think he was...
Why did we play him then?
I mean, Frank said, who hasn't played with pain? And that is a fair point. Remember the whole Ivanovic thing when he played with a whole hole in his foot and his whole boot was filled with blood and stuff like that, and he still played like a man of the match performance that game. Those things are true.
Yeah, but at this age, I don't back that. I don't back that.
I agree. It shouldn't. I mean, it's always too easy to say in hindsight, right? I mean, we could be sitting here saying, "Oh, he played through the pain and look how incredible he was," and we'd be saying, "What a brilliant decision from Frank." And because it didn't go that well, he looks like a mug, and it looks like the absolutely wrong decision. And the Reece thing, yeah, he looked to be outpaced more than I've ever seen him, almost, which is worrying, because if this knee injury. Because we know the knee injury will be an issue that we'll probably have to manage until he can get surgery, probably. I mean, they don't know for sure, or rather, we don't know for sure, because obviously we're not the doctors, are we? But if that's the case, that is a little bit worrying. And he looked like his turn of pace looked to be a bit more of an issue. But then again, it's also like Pulisic was on his side. Pulisic doesn't want to sprint back all the time because he's scared of his own hamstring going. So that made the whole right side a bit more vulnerable. And neither of those two players should be criticized for it. Because how can anyone criticize Pulisic for not tracking back more? I'm like, mate, the guy goes down with hamstring injury every 2 days. Obviously, he's not going to sprint unless he's on the ball trying to score a goal. That makes total sense. But yeah, with the fullbacks, I agree. You certainly got it wrong there.
That's also half the reason why I think Pulisic should have been playing mainly on the left. And this brings us straight to another point. Timo Werner at left wing, like we've spoken more than enough times about Timo Werner at left wing. We know that it doesn't work, but we still continue to persist with it for some reason. I don't understand. We've gone from just sticking Timo Werner in the left to just trying to interchange more. And interchange, okay, at the very least, it means we have Christian Pulisic more at the left, but we all know which position they're both better at. And Timo Werner is not a left wing. He isn't comfortable in that position. And granted, there's been times where he has definitely let himself down. His form hasn't been good or his touch has been absolutely dreadful or something like that. And I understand that he needs to fix up himself. But we need to stop playing him in a position that he's not comfortable in because it's just not helping the situation at all.
I agree. I feel like, well, yesterday I think was the first time where that was an actual thing, where he didn't necessarily have to start him out wide because we had a probably fully fit Hudson-Odoi on the bench. Obviously, we don't know was Hudson-Odoi ready to play more than 45 because obviously this was his first appearance since the injury because he obviously didn't even come on against West Ham. So that's the only thing where I'm like, okay, maybe Hudson-Odoi just wasn't fit for more, so he kind of had to again. But like we said earlier already, it's well and good that Timo Werner doesn't work on the left. But with how we play at the moment, there's no point playing him up top. So the option, if you don't play him on the left, currently the option is to not play him at all. And would people be happy about that? I mean, I would personally. I've been very critical of Werner. But would, in general, people be happy? Because if we keep crossing the ball, I really don't want to see Werner up top.
I don't, but at the very least, I wouldn't mind him on the right because he can use his speed to burn past players, and he's actually in a comfortable position. If he goes to shoot, he's in a more comfortable position. Left-hand side, he's never looked comfortable to me. At the most, I remember the Burnley game where he had a bit of space in that position a couple times, and he's okay when you give him that space. But as soon as you take that space away from him, he's just uncomfortable.
Yeah, no, fully. I mean, that's a lot of issues with Timo Werner right now. Confidence certainly has faded and faded and faded. Like his touch got worse. You can honestly feel that Chilwell barely wants to give him the ball because at the moment you just feel like once Timo has the ball, we lose it every time. And his biggest opportunity that he had yesterday was after he misplaced the pass. Arsenal pretty had a good chance to hit us on a break. Then we won the ball back, and that left Timo with a lot of space, and that he kind of screwed that up as well. So. I'm very critical of Werner, and people know that. I just wouldn't play him at all at the moment, full stop, if we have the possibilities with enough players around him. Because, play him up top, I would try it. But can you honestly, heart to heart, can you honestly see him right now? Even if you play him through on goal, he messes up the touch anyway. Do you know what I mean? It's great that he has the pace to get there. But even if he gets there, do you actually see him scoring? Because I genuinely can't right now. And I don't know what will change that. Maybe some time out of the team might. But right now, well and good having him there. And if we can even if we could use it with those through balls because we don't play them, would he actually score? I don't know.
Here's the thing. I don't know because everything I'm seeing from Timo Werner the last few weeks is just baffling to me. This is a player with the second most goal involvements last season in the entirety of Europe. It's not even about confidence. This should be instinctual to him, but he looks like an absolute shell of himself. And I fully understand that you would think that because what you'd see off Timo Werner the last few games, there's no reason for you not to think that he's an absolute flop right now. The amount of stick I've been getting over this guy's name the last few weeks has been mad. But you're saying it's not just a system issue then? You think it's more of an issue with Timo Werner himself as well?
Yeah, I'm very much so back there because okay, yes, he is better suited as a striker, right? But when we signed him, we know that the guy isn't the greatest on the ball. We knew that the guy isn't the best pass and the best dribbler, and obviously with his height, he's not the best guy to hold up play. So when we signed him, we knew because people sit back against us because of the team we are, at Burnley and Newcastle, at bloody Man United, at Tottenham, they will sit back. And if you just sit deeper, there is no space in behind. You know that Timo Werner as a striker is kind of useless. And that's yes, he started pretty almost every game for Leipzig as a striker, right? Most of the time as part of a front two. But because he played as a part of a front two next to Poulsen, who's a huge guy, a big guy, he drifted out to the left all the time anyway. If you even the game against Southampton, when he scored those two brilliant goals, but even though we drew 3-3, he started up top as well. But both of the goals he actually scored, I know the second one no, but the first goal, he was drifted out to the wide. Chilwell fed him the pass. So I don't think it's necessarily to do, oh, he's playing as a winger. If Giroud plays, yes, I give him that excuse because then he actually has to play like a proper winger and he just can't do that. Which is why I think is one of the reasons why Tammy more often than not has played over Giroud. But I think it's just too. I think it's too much of a cop out saying Lampard is getting it so wrong because Werner is playing on the left wing. Like we're signed a really good footballer here that scored 34 goals last season, and now he can't even control the ball. I think the issue is much bigger than what position he plays in.
No. It's definitely not just the main one. That's confidence is a massive factor for it. I don't know with this guy. We're not scapegoating. We're definitely not scapegoating him for the Arsenal game because that was a team failure. We all know that was a team failure. The midfield was absolutely disgraceful that game. The attack. Who was it? Christian Pulisic carried the attack, but other than that, we were just struggling and we were very route one with the way that we were playing. This is the thing, and I've been bouncing this off a lot of people. The amount of times that we've mocked Mikel Arteta for his style of play, for spamming crosses every single match, it's literally what we've just reverted back to doing over the last few weeks. And what do you think has gone wrong with us to start switching to this?
Well, Ziyech being injured, that's what's gone wrong, if we're being totally honest with ourselves, because I mean, clearly that isn't working without him. And, people say, this should be an excuse for Lampard. And I agree, but also I disagree because if we didn't, we signed him to help us create chances, right? To solve an issue that we had. If we didn't have the issue, we wouldn't have had to sign him in the first place. So saying one of these new signings, one of our star players missing shouldn't be an excuse, in my opinion, is a bit silly because, of course, it should be. Because if he wasn't something that we needed to be at our best, we wouldn't have signed it. But it still doesn't excuse the fact that we don't try. And I don't think it's just the Lampard thing because you said something about the front three, but I don't think the front three were necessarily all that much to blame. The wingers, yes, but Tammy received a couple of long balls and then there was no one there to lay it off to that helped him. I think the bigger issue was the eights and the wingers and the fullbacks yesterday because we didn't even try to go through the middle. We didn't even attempt it. There was no through balls being played. There was no dribbles being completed other than by Pulisic now and again. But no one tried that. And, I honestly felt it was more of a midfield issue than a front three issue in a way because we did all right with the centre-back passing, the full-back passing, the midfielders passing. Did good until we were at the edge of the final third. And then we just stopped knowing how to play football, it felt like. We started playing way too direct. We started playing over-hitting passes, misplacing passes. We started making unnecessary runs. And then in the end, we had a couple of crosses that maybe we could have done better with. But in general, they were all crosses into a super crowded box expecting miracles of Tammy. It doesn't matter who you are. Even if you're Didier Drogba, if the opponent has the box crowded, you're going to struggle to get at the end of a cross.
And the question is, why didn't we bring on Olivier Giroud when it got to that point? I understand what you're saying about Werner hugging the touchline, but Werner came off at 45 minutes.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was you mean basically rather than bringing Havertz on, bringing Giroud on.
If anything, that third sub should have happened way earlier. The first two subs, fair play, Frank. You made two subs in the 45th minute. I've never seen that in months at the least. That third sub though, that came 70, 80 minutes as well, didn't it? If I remember correctly, and. That one would have screamed for Olivier Giroud, even if we were 3-0 down at that point. It would have been the better sub to make earlier into the game.
Yeah, no, I agree. The issue with if you only have 3 subs and making the third sub early, what if someone gets injured? Then you're down to 10. Do you know? I do feel that as a serious struggle with why managers do tend to wait so long to make a third sub, because what if you do get someone injured? But yeah, I agree. You could have certainly brought the Giroud on, but then you say that, and Tammy is the one guy that did score a goal. So I'm would Giroud have scored 3 by himself? Probably not. Maybe he would have got 1, but Tammy did that anyway. So I don't know whether it would have actually changed that much. I agree, it would have certainly been helpful with all of the crosses. But again, I think the bigger issue isn't who is getting on the end of the crosses. The bigger issue is stop just crossing, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. If there's one thing, we got to start using our midfield more. We already said earlier that we just barely used the midfield, and there's a massive issue with the way that we played. But I don't know why. We said for ages that we've had one of the best midfields in the league. We still have one of the best midfields in the league, with or without injuries. But for some reason, we're persisting playing through the right-hand side. We're not even pushing too much through the left. It's just constant push to the right-hand side and spam crosses through Reece James. And a half-injured Reece James as well. It was just completely the wrong mentality to take going into this game. But there was a question that, because there's a lot of people speaking about Frank Lampard, I do just want to ask the question right now. We're happy with where we're set out right now in terms of the team. Maybe not position, but we're halfway through the season, so we're not going to talk too much about it. But let's speculate a little bit. Frank Lampard, do you see him as the manager that could take us to titles? Or do you think it's a case where Lampard has taken us as far as he can and we should respectfully break ties with him and move towards another manager at the end of the season? It's a lot of speculation, so you got to think about it. I get that.
Yeah. It's weird because, I mean, how many times have we said that now? And yeah, of course, you could say, okay, he lost the Super Cup. He lost it with a penalty. It's not his fault that we lost that final. We actually played really well. The FA Cup final, if Pulisic doesn't pull his hamstring as he goes to shoot to put us 2-1 up, we don't lose that. Like, I still firmly believe if Pulisic doesn't pull his hamstring as he swings to shoot, he makes it 2-1 there, and then we're in the lead again, and we probably hold on to it, I think.
Well, even with Anthony Taylor tax.
Yeah, well, because at least we would have been 2-1 up at that point already. And then you have the Anthony Taylor thing with the Kovacic standing off and whatever else. So it's like, is it Lampard's fault that we haven't won titles? I don't think so.
Oh, no, no one's saying we should have had a trophy by now, but in terms of where you see the club going under the manager.
I think it's difficult to judge because, and I know people make this comparison a lot, like, oh, it took Klopp 4 or 5 years. I'm like, yeah, it did, but did Liverpool look like winning anything after 2 years? No, they didn't.
No.
So that's what I'm saying. And we don't know this. Like, do you know what I mean? As much as I'm sat here and like, it's my job to give an opinion on these things. Like, yeah, I mean, it's well and good in that, but it's like, how on earth am I meant to know? And do I see Thomas Tuchel doing so much better? Thomas Tuchel has done a lot of weird things with the whole racism thing that happened with Demba Ba against Basaksehir here. Do I want that guy at the club if what Demba Ba said is true? I don't care how good of a manager is. If that's true, I don't want him about.
Yeah, I'm good still.
Exactly. And the last guy I want is bloody Allegri. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to go back to
the amount of people screaming for Allegri. It's like, you man just want to pick any big name manager just off name value alone.
Honestly,
that's a complete change to another philosophy, which means we're going to have to go for another transition. We're going to have to get rid of half our squad again. Granted, that's what we've done for years, but we're trying to be sustainable, man. Let's stick to a philosophy, even though right now people are questioning what Lampard's philosophy even is.
And I mean, that is an issue, and that is the thing, right? That, you could argue should be changing, or should how do I call it? Like, we should certainly adapt, but I still sit here and think we wouldn't be saying this if Ziyech was playing. And I know we shouldn't rely on one player so much, but is anyone going to tell me we Conte, Sarri, Mourinho even didn't rely on Hazard exactly this much?
Yep, exactly that.
So it's like, I mean, imagine if Hazard didn't play the majority of the 16-17 season or the majority of the 14-15 season. You think we would have won the league? No chance. No chance.
14-15, we would have been mudded. Absolutely mudded.
And
I do agree that we still have to give Frank Lampard time, because the fact is, a month ago, I think we were unbeaten in nearly 17 games or something like that. It has completely fallen in the last few games, which was understandable, because as soon as a team figures out how to play against you, a couple other teams are going to start to figure out how to play against you as well. I still think Lampard deserves the 2 Cs, and he will get given the 2 Cs regardless, because that's what Roman Abramovich promised him. The only thing, though, is that the thing with Lampard, and I've said this on the phone in as well, I want to echo it again here. We have this thing where we have a style of play and it works, but we don't switch it up, or we don't try and do anything different, and then one team exposes it, and then everyone else starts exposing it. Then we keep sticking with it for a little bit too long. The good thing with Lampard is he doesn't persist with it. It's not like Maurizio Sarri or Conte, where it's like, this is my system, this is my system, this is my plan A, I don't care what you're saying. Lampard can change things up. It's just when he does, we have a good period, like that little honeymoon period, and then everything turns into a slog. Now I think we're in that period again where we need to switch things up again. But I think Frank Lampard definitely needs to start getting more of a plan B into his ideas.
Yeah, but this is again where I come back to the thing that I agree that there should be a different plan, but I don't think a different plan means a different system. Because I mean, it's not like we're the only team in the world that play 4-3-3, and we're certainly not and certainly not every other team that plays 4-3-3 only plays crosses. Do you know what I mean? So there's clearly a plan can be changed without changing the system, right? And that was one thing that what I always agreed with Sarri, stick to the 4-3-3, and that's why I agree with Lampard now. I think that is the best. In my opinion, and I'm not an expert, I'm not a manager, I'm not any of these things, but in my opinion, 4-3-3 is the best shape to play football in.
And then here's the thing, because you said earlier that you don't think Havertz is that bad in the number 8 role. The only thing where I disagree is that we really should be trying to get the majority of Havertz's touches in the attacking third, and that's not what we're doing. As a number 8, I don't think he's terrible. I don't think it's a completely awful idea playing him in the number 8. Right now, I just think with him assimilating into the Premier League and everything, we really should be trying to play to his ultimate strengths. And right now, him progressing the ball from defense to attack and then having the final pass as well, I do feel like we're asking a bit too much of him. And I do want to see us try and play to his strengths a little bit more. But I also understand why we haven't gone for the 4-2-3-1. We had other issues around the squad when we were doing that. We couldn't transition from defense to attack to save our lives.
Thing, yeah.
But yesterday it looked kind of like the same.
It did. I mean, Havertz didn't play, but yeah, it did.
But yeah, without Havertz playing, but the point still stands.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong, and I agree that Havertz should get more touches in and around the box, but I don't think the one thing stops him from doing the other thing. Because if we're in transition, if we have the ball in the defensive third or in the middle third anyway, he's not going to get, like, no matter what position he plays, he's not going to get the ball in the final third. He gets any midfielder, whether you're a 10 or whether you're an 8, you get the ball in the final third when we're the team pushing, right? When we're trying to create an attack. And I don't think whether you play as an 8, and I want to reiterate, he shouldn't be the 8-8. He shouldn't be the box-to-box 8. That should be Mount's job. He should be the attacking 8. And that is a big difference. That's why I think as an attacking 8, he should work. Sometimes he drops a bit deep. And yes, it is to do with the fact that Reece James is the right back and he is so attacking, which is what sometimes forces the right centre mid to help back a bit more. But I think that those are adjustable things. And I think in the end, he can still get those important touches in the final third. And also, we talk about these through balls and these balls to use the space in behind once we start playing Werner up top because we have wingers available. The only guy I genuinely see playing those passes is Havertz. And then I don't only want to see him get on the ball on the edge of the box because that's when it has to be like, you know, the small bit stuff again. Because if people sit back and there's 2 blocks of 4, it doesn't really matter whether you play as a 10 or an 8. You're going to have to move around, drop left, drop right, move forward, move back to find space anyway. That's the only thing. But I agree with you. He shouldn't be the box-to-box 8. I think he does that a little bit too much sometimes. But I think that's just adjusting.
Well, there's a thing that's always been going through my head. I don't know if I've asked you this question already, but Kai Havertz is centre forward. What would your thoughts be on that?
When I see him try to shield the ball when he plays in midfield, I'm like, he will get annihilated by a centre back.
Yeah,
that's my main thought on that. Because yeah, he's good in the air, he's tall in that, and his link-up play would probably be even better than Oliver Giroud's. And he would probably be great at that. And when Werner plays on the wing and that, and less so with Ziyech because Ziyech kind of does that job already. But say with Pulisic, yeah, those guys he can be really helpful with that then. But I don't know. Do you think it should be like the main thing every now and again? Yeah, maybe we can do that. But are you asking me that because you think that could be something we should try regularly?
It's something that I'm keen on. I would like to see it. Maybe not now. I mean, I do get the strength factor would be a big issue with that. But it did work at what's his name, Bayer Leverkusen. It could potentially work. It's something that I'm interested in. I want to see it in a game, see what happens. If it don't work, it don't work. But it's an idea that's going on in my head. I just wanted to bounce off the top of you. Let me go through the super chats. Go on, what were you saying? Say that again.
No. I was just saying I understand where you're coming from with that, and I would like to see it as well. But at the same time, I mean, I don't know how many games exactly he played for Leverkusen as a centre forward, but they certainly always had proper strikers when he was playing there. I mean, Kevin Volland, or Volland, that now plays at Monaco, only went there like the season before Havertz joined us. So they always had this proper striker there. It's not like Havertz played as a centre forward for Leverkusen like most games. It's absolutely not what it is. He played as a 10, sometimes as an 8, sometimes out wide on the right. It's not like centre forward was like his main position. That's like saying Timo Werner's main position is left wing almost. Havertz can do that, but he would have to do it a bit like a Firmino. And I don't think our wingers are goal threatening enough until Werner starts scoring from the left wing for that to be a realistic option that we should go for.
What about if we had Werner on the right?
Yeah, I mean, I know what you said with the whole like he can shoot better from the right, but do you actually think that? Because I mean, Mane plays on the left
because he's more comfortable there. I feel like if he's running through on goal on the right hand side, it'd be a lot more comfortable than him running on the left.
Oh yeah, but as in with the finish. I mean, Mane is right-footed, plays on the left. Salah is left-footed, plays on the right. Hazard is right-footed, plays on the left. Ronaldo is right-footed, played on the left until he moved into striker. So I'm like, to assist things, to not look as bad, he's probably better on the right. But I feel like to score, he's probably better on the left because it's easier for you to score if you can curl it with your right foot from the left than if you have to blast it towards the far corner with your right foot from the right, because he's not going to score, like he's not going to start curling the ball into the far corner with his left foot from the right. He's not going to do that.
No, but I'm thinking more the smash across goal, or if anything towards the far post. Like, do you remember the chance he had against West Ham where he smacked the crossbar again?
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true.
That's the one I want to see.
Yeah. I get that. It's just he's always been slightly more to the left than he's like even at Leipzig.
He's always been roaming off the left, and I understand that. But right now, it isn't working.
But I think it's true. He looks not as bad on the right. Main thing because he's so poor at dribbling these days. Because he only uses right foot to dribble, all the great dribblers of the ball, they direct the ball with both feet, whether it's Hazard, whether it's Messi, whether it's Pulisic, one touch left foot, one touch right foot. That's how you move quickly. And when you play on one side, you shield the ball with the inside leg, right? And because he's right-footed, he dribbles it with his right, so he can't shield the ball when he's playing on the left. When he's playing on the right, he can shield it with the left side of his body. So that's an advantage to him. But do I see that as where Werner will be like, oh, this is why we signed him for 50 million? No, in my opinion. Better than on the left at the moment, but long term, I don't see that as where he should be. But hey, I mean, if you think different, fam.
Okay, so it's like a band-aid over the original problem, but I kind of understand that. Let me go through a few of the super chats before we chat about the Villa game quickly. Babalo says our midfield needs that 2018 Loftus-Cheek. Do not remind me because I'll just get vexed about that friendly match that just killed his entire career. You know what the worst part is? Fulham fans hate him right now. I'm hearing the way they're chatting about him. They're saying he's a worse player on the pitch when they play.
Flip's sake.
This fall from grace is so annoying, man. And it was an unnecessary friendly that caused it as well. It's jarring, but yeah. Could we do with Loftus-Cheek back? Speculation, but I don't know. The midfielders that we have now anyway should have been the ones that solved this. What's the next one? There was a second super chat. Here we go. Do you think Pulisic can eventually develop the skill set to be used as a false nine? No. I think if we're going to talk about Kai Havertz and his strength, I mean, Christian Pulisic, that's just a bigger question in itself. What are your thoughts on this? Because I'll be real, I'm not really feeling it. I remember we tried Hazard in the false line and he didn't like it, and he was saying he was better on the left-hand side. Pulisic is not just copy and paste Eden Hazard, and we all know that. But I'm seeing similarities in here where I just don't think it would work.
Yeah. I mean, like, people maybe think like, I don't know, a bit, not self-centered is not the right word, but maybe don't look at outside the box enough, but I just don't really care who you are, maybe with the small exception of Messi. I don't want anyone to be a false nine because I don't think a false nine system is what I'm the biggest fan of personally. Unless you're as good at it as Liverpool are with the crazy work rate of the midfield and the front three, and then absolute goal scoring machines on both sides. Unless you have that, and we certainly don't, I don't think we should go anywhere near a false nine, no matter who that could be. That doesn't really matter to me whether that could be Pulisic or Havertz or Hazard or whoever. I don't think we should be using a false nine system. Can he do that? He can probably adjust to it. If he played there every game, he would probably get used to it after a while. But should it be? Is that getting the best out of him? I don't think so.
All right, cool. There was one other super chat that I didn't mention. They were asking about Edouard Mendy's performance. What did you think about his performance? Because distribution did lack on a couple of occasions.
Yeah.
The third goal as well, it was a fluky goal. I don't care what anyone tells me, but he was still caught off his line. What were your thoughts on his performance? We ain't going to be too reactionary about it. We both know that. No one's going to say bring Kepa back or anything like that. But what were your thoughts?
It's weird because the one thing that annoys me about Mendy's distribution is he's really good when he plays it them wide to like James and Chilwell. Really good. Like weirdly good almost. But sometimes when he tries to put it to the striker, it's like he can't get enough power on it. And they always come short every time. Like that I find a bit annoying. But as an actual goalkeeper play, and I mean, the first one was a pen. It is true. I don't think he's dived right for a pen once. And he's, I think, gone up against 7 or 8 for Chelsea already, and he dived the wrong way every
I'll be
time.
real, he's a bad penalty saver. I can't lie.
Yeah.
That's not
I don't, like, I'm not a goalie. I don't really know, like, whose fault is it if you go the wrong way every time? Like, is that your fault? I don't really know.
I don't know, but the Spurs one, it was just, they all went the right side, and he went the left side every single time.
Yeah, then he went the right side.
The other way one time, they went the other way.
Exactly. And I'm like, well, but how do you know? Is like, depending on, you know, who takes the pen. Some players are obviously very set. I always take it that way. I always take it that way. And some make it a bit obvious with their run up. But I don't know. I'm not going to blame him for not saving pens. I think people that blame goalkeepers for not saving penalties, that's a bit silly.
Yeah.
The second goal, there's a free kick. I don't think he can do nothing about that. I looked at the replay. He didn't look like he's moving late, so I can't fault him for that. And the third one, yeah, he is off his line. But he should be off his line. He's expecting a cross. If he's on this goal line and he can't collect the cross, and that's one of the things he's really good at. And even if he's on the line, is he really going to save that one? I don't know. I mean, it hit the inside of the post. Do you know what I mean? That's a tough one. I agree he's made a couple of mistakes. He shouldn't have given the pen away. He shouldn't have against Everton. He shouldn't have made the
Everton one, to be honest, I don't blame him for. Because we're talking about what to expect from the player. We already know Edouard Mendy's the type of guy that throws himself at everything. He's fearless. That's what he signed him for, because Kepa never did that. I think it was a consequence of his style of play. You know, like with Ederson, where because he likes to pass the ball out the back so much, 1 or 2 times he's going to pass it to the opposition. It happens.
All right. I mean, yes, but you still need to judge it, right? Do you know what I mean? Like that's what I expect from any player. You know, it's great if you're like just the defender that goes for the slide tackles every time. But imagine if Kurt Zouma, those infamous slide tackles that he always went for. Imagine if every time he hit the guy just because that's what he liked to do. We wouldn't praise him for it anymore, would we? So you still need to get it right, I think, even if that's your style. And what was the game before that? I feel like against Leeds, the early goal, he messed that one up a little bit. But I feel like to discuss Mendy after the Arsenal game, I don't think it's necessary, if you will.
Yeah, Mendy definitely, I don't even think was one of the worst players on the pitch. We definitely have players that massively.
And he made a couple of good saves as well. I mean, from the Martinelli shot and from the Rob Holding
game nightmares.
Exactly. And then there was also, obviously, he gave the ball to Lacazette for Lacazette to have that chance to curl it. But that was still a good save. So I still think overall, I mean, I feel like it's about the last thing that we should be criticizing is Mendy, to be honest.
All right, cool. Next question we got. Why isn't Billy Gilmore getting minutes? First off, just came back from the injury a few weeks ago. Also, I think the Villa game might be a perfect opportunity for game time for him. Might be the last games that we see him have before he goes on loan.
I don't think he'll go on. At least the Athletic said he's not going anywhere. So that's.
Oh, wait, is he not going on loan?
No, the Athletic said he won't because Lampard sees him as a 6 and an 8 option, and that's handy to have. So I'm a fan of that.
More Billy Gilmore. I'm not complaining.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, why is he not getting any minutes is a good question, but then again, who would you play him over? Would you play him over Mount? I wouldn't. Would you play him over Kovacic? I wouldn't. Would you play him over Havertz? Maybe on current form, yes. But in general, I wouldn't. So it's like, how many more minutes are you expecting him to get? Do you know what I mean?
Here's the
And plus
thing.
what you said, they're coming back from the injury, of course. Is a
Right now, I think I would start him over Jorginho. I've already said plenty of times I think he's an upgrade on Jorginho. In the number 8 role, I'm not really too sure. Did he play? He didn't play number 8 against Krasnodar, did he? I thought it was number 6.
He did. No, he did.
Was
Yeah.
it number 8?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was Jorginho and
Jorginho's
Gil
the 6,
playing
yeah.
together, wasn't it? Okay, so he might. I was a bit worried about him at the number 8 because the only time I remembered him playing was against Leicester in the cup last season. He was a bit iffy then, but if he played against Krasnodar, it is Krasnodar. But I mean, he balled out in that game. It's a Champions League opposition. I will take it. Next super chat we got. Also, everyone, please smash the like button if you haven't done it already. We've got nearly 700 you man here, and that number is an absolute madness. So, guys, please hit the like button if you ain't done it yet.
Oh, bloody hell! I thought you said we had 700 likes. I'm like, oh, bloody hell.
Oh, I wish. 700 likes, please. I'm begging you, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Question Lampard's messages. Attackers don't link up enough. The midfield don't seem to know their roles. His substitutions are a mess. Substitutions, here's the annoying thing with Lampard. Sometimes his substitutions are amazing, and I'm not going to sit here and say substitutions are always trash. There's been plenty of games where he has saved the game with his substitutions, but right now he isn't really getting it right. The only thing I'll give him credit for is he made 2 substitutions in the 45th minute. We ain't seen that from him in ages. We've always been complaining about him making late subs. He made 2 early subs. Fair play. But I do think that we've spoken about it plenty of times on here already, but there is a big question to ask about the way we're utilizing our players because we aren't finding Timo Werner in the best positions. We aren't finding Kai Havertz in the best positions. There's a few questions that need to be asked, but it is only questions. We're not going to sit here and say the entire agenda is switched. We're Lampard out. We want a different manager. It's just, okay, there's problems here, Lampard. We can see what the problems are. We've got an idea of what needs to be done to change. What do you think needs to be done to change?
Yeah, like that's it. I agree with the question by Mo. Attackers don't link up enough. Couldn't agree more with this. That is a serious problem. The midfield don't seem to know their roles. Couldn't agree more with this either because I think for the attackers, the front 3 to link up more, the midfielders need to help them link up. And once you have the midfielders link up with them too, everything becomes easier, right? We've spoken on the Werner and Havertz thing already. I just think it doesn't really matter who you are. If you're a good footballer, you should be capable of playing a couple of positions well. It shouldn't be that Werner is absolutely incapable to do bloody anything just because he's playing about 10 yards further left than people want him to play. Like, if 10 yards, 15 yards, 20 yards further on one side makes such a difference to you, then there's a much bigger problem here. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what I believe when it comes to position. Do you know what I mean? Like, was Hazard as good on the right as he was on the left? No. But did you see Hazard on the right and you think he shouldn't be playing? No, you shouldn't. No, you didn't. And that's what it should be for pretty much everybody. We're a Chelsea Football Club here. We're not like some League One side. We're not some Austrian club. Do you know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't be that a player is only capable of doing one thing. Maybe Giroud is a little bit of an exception for that because of his physical attributes, right? But it shouldn't be that Timo Werner can't control the ball. It shouldn't be that he can't dribble. It shouldn't be that every pass he makes, I'm sat there shitting myself. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's a little bit to it. And if you want me to, I can just go into the next question that you put on screen because the whole Christian Pulisic thing, I agree. He doesn't quite look the exact same since obviously the injury. But can you blame the guy? He's probably shitting himself to get injured again. I mean, he came back.
How many injuries has he had in the last 4 years? It's like 20 or something.
Honestly, it's mad. It's crazy.
And they've all been muscle injuries. I think we're trying to do a thing where we're trying to get Christian Pulisic to change his style of play because he has a very explosive style of play, and that's been half the reason why he's been getting injured so much. So, to an extent, again, patience is also needed with Christian Pulisic because we do not want him to just go be the same Christian Pulisic and drop an injury again. Even though that might be the better Christian Pulisic because he's quicker, he's more harder to predict. So I understand why people are saying this might not be the same Christian Pulisic, but that's a factor for it. Him also playing on the right in some occasions is also a factor for it. We already know he's better on the left-hand side. But it's a patience game. I already said with Christian Pulisic, I don't care if he has one game a week for the rest of the season. Just make sure he goes through the rest of the season without another injury, because if he gets another injury, we might lose him to injuries altogether. This season is vital to the rest of his career. Bunda's entire season in general, his entire career lost on how we protect him through this season.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I agree. I think the whole thinking Pulisic isn't like quite himself and stuff. First of all, he was out with one start in the meantime and two sub appearances. He was out for pretty much 6 months. Like if you think about it, he came back 5 months. He came back early December, and had 3 appearances since August. Other than that, right? So it was pretty much out for 5 months. And to expect him to just jump back and like be the old self, and if you see him play, he's still our best attacker by a mile every time he plays. The problem is that what I think he's lacking, because he was injured all this time, he hasn't really been able to adapt to Tammy playing a bit differently now, to Timo Werner there, to even Ziyech when they play together, even though that's barely happened, to how Mount plays a bit different. I think that's the only issue, because once he's on the ball, his dribbling, his movement, even his passing, his crossing, just his shooting, sometimes he's a bit scared to shoot. Against Sevilla, he shot way too much. And then yesterday he had one moment where he should have shot and didn't. So I guess it's time. It's a little bit of time for him to find that balance again. And I think of him getting used to slightly different, things happening around him compared to like when he last played. But I think Christian Pulisic is one of the last things we should actually be worried about.
Yeah, also this question as well, why has our build-up sucked since Everton? Starting the initial first few games was because of a lack of wingers. We lost a lot of width, so that was a big reason for it as well. Also, the Wolves game, we already know we shouldn't have switched Pulisic onto the right and Timo Werner onto the left at half-time. Basically killed our entire attack, and the substitutions were a big reason for it. West Ham, I think West Ham was a very cagey game for a long period of time. Also, do need to give West Ham a bit of credit as well. Everyone had them down as relegation candidates, and they were a point behind us at the time of that fixture. Hell, I don't know if they won their game at Boxing Day or not, but they might be a point behind us again. I know our next opponent, Aston Villa, they're a point above us right now. So yeah, our build-up has sucked in recent games, but it's been mainly because we've been spamming crosses and we've had a lack of wingers to provide width, in my opinion. Do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, it's so difficult to judge because I'm not sure whether the midfield. Yeah, I'm not sure whether the midfielders are kind of struggling to build up, or whether we're told to not build up, or what the issue is. But it sometimes feels like we're not even trying. Like we're trying to get to the midfield to build up, but not to the front three. And it seems like our thing is we get from the centre backs to the midfielders via the fullbacks. And then in that time, the fullbacks go up the pitch, the wingers come a bit central, and then we pass it wide, and then cross. That seems like that's the whole entire plan. And I'm not sure whether who is necessarily to blame for it, because I'm not there. I can't tell you whether is this a Frank instruction, or is it the players not following the Frank instructions that would actually solve this issue.
Yeah, cool. We're going to go through the rest of Super Chats. I did want to try go through the Villa game, but the amount of Super Chats you lot are giving me is a madness. Thank you to all the guys donating, by the way. This is like the best Christmas present, especially with the Boxing Day nightmare that came straight afterwards. Piling crosses to Abraham, who's an awful target, man. Where's the sense in that? Pulisic on the right as well. Questions need to be asked. Questions are being asked. And the good thing I like about Chelsea fans is we don't sit there and just take BS. It's not a case where Manchester United and Arsenal where we just sit there and like, trust the process. Don't worry, it'll be fine. We'll get out of the mud. We'll be fine. No, if we see something that don't make sense and we persist with it, we're like, well, what's happening now? We've called out Lampard on numerous times. The 4-2-3-1 formation, I remember I spent the whole Sevilla 0-0 in the Manchester United game on my video saying, yo, Lampard, what are we doing, man? We know this formation don't work. We're getting literally the worst games out of N'Golo Kante I've ever seen in a Chelsea shirt.
And why are we want to go back to that formation? Like, what is that logic? Do you know what I mean? It's like people forget.
I don't want us to go back to 4-2-3-1. I want us to get the best out of Havertz, but if it means a 4-2-3-1, I wouldn't take it still because we still wouldn't transition.
Yeah, exactly. And in my opinion, I strongly disagree with the fact that Tammy is an awful target man. Tammy is awful in the air, yes.
As a target man, good though.
Yeah,
he's a good target man. That's
he's
improved.
Not Giroud level target man yet, right? But he's still significantly better than he was last season, and he's getting better and better at it. And to say he's awful at it is just silly. I mean, look at the build-up to the third goal we scored against West Ham. You know, Tammy gets the ball, chests it down, gets it to Pulisic, gets the ball back, does a back heel, gets it back to Pulisic, and then he runs to the far post and scores. Like, how can you say it's a bad target man? Just watch that goal, and you can't say that.
Yeah, bro, I appreciate the donation, but check back again on Tammy Abraham's work as a target man, because that from the start of his, in fact, not the start of his time at Chelsea till now, completely different player. This man he's still getting bullied in the air, fair play. He's not getting bullied on the ground anymore. He was getting bullied on the ground, but it's a different man now. That has changed, so I'll give him credit for that. Another super chat. Didn't Timo prefer playing off the left at Leipzig anyway? People acted like Lampard's committing murder by trying to play him on the left. Missing sitters is not on Timo. Yes, missing sitters is on Timo. Confidence, though, 50-50. I'll give that one as a 50-50. It's not the worst idea that Lampard's had playing on the left, and we all said he was versatile, so I'm happy to hold that on the chin. But when something isn't working, and it's obvious that it isn't working, why do you persist with that?
Yeah, but he didn't have another option. This was the first game where we had Hudson-Odoi on the bench, and you were like, okay, we can do this. You know,
in my opinion, that is our option.
Yeah, no, but this was the first time he had the option, because Hudson-Odoi just came back while Ziyech and Hudson-Odoi were out injured, and before that, Pulisic was out injured and Hudson-Odoi were out injured.
Oh, perfect timing as well. Yes, bro. What you said?
What we say, listen, man is here smiling now because I went out and I had to enjoy myself. But yesterday we messed up. But what you might not saying? How you all doing?
We're recovering. I'll say that we are recovering. It's been a rough 24 hours. Everyone has had their go dancing on my grave. And I know someone said as well in the comment section, I know Skullfuggery is about to burn me in a spliff in about 15 minutes on his channel. So I'm expecting to see that coming, but none of you guys are going to be there because we're going to be on Lawrence's channel anyway. Quick question. We'll just ask you. Just thoughts on the Arsenal game, just straight up, because I haven't even spoken to you yet about it.
Bro, everybody that asked me about my predictions before the game, everyone. So this is Lee Gunner, this is Dan McCarthy, this is everybody, yeah? I told them Arsenal are going to beat us 3-1. I have all my WhatsApp thing. I said Arsenal
so it's your fault.
Going to beat... What?
So it's your fault then?
Yes, it's my fault. Yeah, some people think, I have magical influence on the game. Don't worry, we're going to beat the next 69-0. That's what's going to happen. Just, I've got magical influence on the whole thing. But, fam, I was not confident. You know what I'm saying? Because our last 3 games before that, or like, big man, what are we saying? Our last 3 games before that, man, we were not playing too well. That West Ham game that we won 3-0, that was a fluke. You know what I'm saying? That last 15 minutes, Abraham sort of took the 21st of December a bit too seriously, and they came up with some 2 banging goals. Do you know what I mean? 3-0 made it look so much better than it actually was. We've not been convincing. Do you know what I'm saying? Now we've just lost to Arsenal, the worst Arsenal team I have seen in the last 2 decades. Are you joking? I've only been alive for 2 decades. Do you know where I'm coming from? That's how bad it was. They made a ballerina, fam, a B-Tech ASOS model, captained Arsenal to a 3-1 win over Frank's Tricky Blues. Nah, fam. I was livid, fam. I had to I had to record a full-blown video for the game because I was livid. And I still am.
Guys, everyone check out Dammy's channel, by the way. He just dropped his first video on that. It's called The Grand Dam, by the way, because I'm going to put in the title.
My God. But honestly,
that's it, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Cool,
but fam, like I said, it's mad, yo. It's mad. Like, and another thing that really pissed me off after the game as well was, I don't know if did you see his what's it called?
The press conference.
His presser. Man was blaming everybody left, right, and center. I'm like, take some of this on yourself. Do you know what I mean? They did blame himself, but it was like, I'll take it in public, but it's on the players. What does that are you doing?
That as well. You saw that as well. I heard he's just said on camera, like, it was kind of my fault, but in the background, I'm going to say it was the player's fault. But I'll take it on the chin in front of the camera now. It's like, what?
That's what he said.
I do want to say a little thing about that, though. You know why Frank does that? I said this on Twitter last night as well. Frank Lampard was more than just a top-level player, right? And top-level players, no matter who you are, whether it's Lampard, Ronaldo, Messi, whoever, the best players, they've never come out there and said after a poor performance, mate, it's the bloody manager's fault. When they know, we didn't run enough, we didn't work hard enough, we didn't play hard enough, the players sit there and blame themselves. Watch Mason Mount's interview. He wasn't sat there blaming Frank Lampard. You could see in himself that he was blaming the team. And that's what Frank Lampard, the attitude he had as a player. And because he had it so much as a player, I think that's why he sat there and was like, Well, if I was a player, I'd be blaming myself. So they should be taking more responsibility. And I agree with the fact that I don't like people think of this isn't youth football. These guys aren't 12 years old. These are adults, right? Doesn't matter whether they're 20 or 28 or 34 like Oliver Giroud. These are adults. Like, it's their job to turn up and just perform and at least work hard. You can't always be perfect, but at least work hard. And for the past month, ever since the Leeds game, in every single game, we played second fiddle in intensity, in winning second balls, in all of these things. And that's not Lampard's fault. That's the player's fault. Turn up. Do you know what I mean? Like, imagine a dentist goes out there and can't pull a tooth. He's not good at his job either then. But if you can't run as a footballer, you're not going to do your job either.
You've got a point, bro. You've got a point there. But my thing is, it's not 100% on the players, because it's kind of, like, my thing is like, what you said is spot on. Coming from the players, I saw Chilwell laughing with Saka. I felt like knocking his head down into the grave. Are you mad? What's wrong with you? You think Ashley Cole or Drogba would be laughing with the opposition after taking an L to Arsenal Football Club? That's meant to be our banter team. Are you kidding me? We've beaten this man so many times that it's not even supposed to be. It's meant to be a normality. And we went there and lost to the what? This man had Xhaka in midfield. Rob
Do you
Holding
see
and
that?
Murray.
Xhaka was running the whole midfield for 90 minutes.
That's the fun.
Good, this guy.
That's my point, innit? So, like, obviously, these man didn't really play that well as the players themselves. But Lampard, he needs to take This man was telling these people, like, all right, go ahead, crossing the ball. Cross it there. These men were crossing the ball into N'Golo Kante. This man is below my dick line. Are you joking? He's that short and you're crossing the ball into him. That's not how you do it, fam. Do you get where I'm coming from? So for me, it's like, how does that make sense? Tammy couldn't even score with his head yesterday. He had to use like around there. Are you joking? So that's who you're crossing into. People, like Matisse said this to me nicely, Liverpool, they cross with purpose. Do you get where I'm coming from? Their player, their front three is not even that tall, okay? Their front three is not tall in any way, shape, or form. But you see them crossing the ball into the ground, but Lampard is like, whatever. As long as the ball is in the box, I don't know, hope for the thing, I hope for the best. So as far as I'm concerned, the players lacked a lot of intensity. They lacked a lot of fight. You know what I'm saying? But Lampard made quite a few things that are still baffling me. Werner on that left wing position. Everybody's telling me that he's meant to play down the middle, blah, blah, blah. When we signed him, I thought it was Mr. Versatility. How does that make sense? I thought, wasn't that the discussion before? So now the narrative has to change and now you're blaming Werner for that. Come on, you're the one that signed him to play on there as well. Then you see Callum Hudson-Odoi coming on a bit too late. Why is my guy coming on? Like, why are you just playing him now? Well, Werner has been dropping consistent stinkers over the past few games. There are so many different red flags. Do you get what I mean? So for me, overall, I'm looking at those situations. I'm like, the players need to be blamed, but this man's system is not helping anybody but the fullbacks. Everybody and their godmother thought Ben Chilwell and Reece James were not fit. I thought when they started, I thought it was going to be like a fluke. I thought it was like a PR stunt. You know what I mean? I thought, okay, he was just saying that to mess about with Arteta's head so that they don't play. But they come on and they were both shocking on the pitch. Why is that? They are not fit enough. So are you telling me we need to be able to rely on Hakim Ziyech, who is not even going to be that consistent? Because if you watch him at Ajax, you would know that my guy is not even that sort of player that's always banging in the crosses every time. So is that what we're going to rely on? Is that the system? Is that the football we're playing? There are so many questions that I need to ask. And I see a lot of Lampard out. I am not Lampard out. You know, I'm coming from, I am not Lampard out. I don't think you're Lampard out, Lewis. I don't think you're Lampard out, Lawrence. But at the end of the day, there are so many questions I need to ask. And I'm not going to stand for this. I had someone on stream telling me yesterday that if this club got relegated with Frank Lampard, they'll still back him. That is, you don't love this football club if you say stuff like that, because I don't know where you've come from. Just go back to wherever. I don't care if you've been supporting football for 60 years. Chelsea Football Club is bigger than Frank Lampard, and I don't give a rat's ass if he's won the Champions League with us before. I need to ask questions, and he needs to be held responsible. You need to.
Exactly. And there are plenty of questions to ask. The only thing is, I can't lie. We are meant to be doing a live on Lawrence's channel literally right now. Dammy, I don't know what you're doing. Do you want to jump on with us?
Fuck it, let's go.
I can't. The link is in the private chat, bro. Jump on, guys. Also, I do want to go through 2 more super chats. I don't want to be rude. Potential best front three of Pulisic, Werner, Ziyech. I do like that. I do think Ziyech's balls into Timo Werner might be the way to unlock him. But like you said, Ziyech ain't going to be the guy that's going to bang in those crosses. He's going to have them ghost games as well. A final super chat as well. Exactly, Lawrence, you're right. Lamps uses top player mentality, ball. Big up Lawrence as well. Guys, the link to Lawrence's channel is literally in the title, so click on that and we're going to be continuing this discussion. The link to Dammy's isn't on the title for some reason, so I put a link in the description as well, so check out his channel down there. Guys, I hope you lot have enjoyed watching this. All the gooners mocking me in the comment section. Come join us on Lawrence's channel as well. And yeah, take care. I'll drop a Villa preview tomorrow. I said I was going to do a Villa preview as well. We didn't even get started on that game, so I'm going to drop a preview. I'll do another live tomorrow. We'll get that started.
We'll talk a little bit about Villa on my channel.
What was that?
No worries, man.
I said we'll talk a little bit about Villa on my channel.
Yeah, we'll talk about on your channel as well. Dammy, we got to get you on as more, bro. Thanks for jumping on, even if it was for the last 5 minutes. I massively appreciate it. But guys, take care. 700 you man watching. Big up all of you guys, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Take